For 17 years, Ted Kaczynski lived here, in a one-room cabin nestled deep in the Montana wilderness. No electricity, no running water, just his books, a typewriter, and a growing dark obsession. What was he writing in this desolate silence? Not letters home, not academic research papers. He was crafting a doctrine of destruction, his personal blueprint for a war against technology. By the early 1990s, Kaczynski had poured his life's work into more than 35,000 words. He called it Industrial Society and Its Future. It was a manifesto arguing that technology wasn't progress, but a form of slavery. In his view, technology robs humanity of freedom. Machines, he wrote, dictate the terms of our existence, and only a violent revolution could save us. Then in 1995, he issued a chilling ultimatum. He sent his manifesto to the New York Times and the Washington Post with a demand: publish it, or more people would die. This sparked a furious debate in newsrooms and federal offices across the country. Should the press give a terrorist a platform, or should they risk more innocent lives? After agonizing deliberation, they made their choice. They published it. For the first time, millions of Americans were reading the words of a killer. But one man read those words differently. In his home, Ted's younger brother, David Kaczynski, sat at his kitchen table, the newspaper spread before him. As he read, his eyes widened. He recognized peculiar phrases, odd turns of speech, familiar arguments. He turned to his wife and said softly, "This sounds like Ted." For years, David had received strange, rambling letters from his reclusive brother. Now, the similarities were undeniable. David's suspicion led the FBI to bring in forensic linguists. They spread Ted's old letters next to the manifesto, and the breakthrough was immediate. The syntax, the rhythm, even the rare words, it was all there. It was him. For the first time in history, a terrorist was about to be identified not by fingerprints, not by DNA, but by his words. With a positive identification, the FBI moved cautiously. Kaczynski's cabin was isolated and possibly booby-trapped, so they waited, watching. After months of surveillance, they had enough evidence to move in. At dawn, on April 3, 1996, an FBI SWAT team surrounded the small wooden structure. They stormed the door. A wild-eyed, disheveled Ted Kaczynski emerged, but he was strangely calm. He was handcuffed and led away without a fight. Inside the cabin, agents found all the proof they needed. Bombs ready to be mailed, detailed journals documenting every single attack, and the very typewriter used to write the manifesto. To avoid the death penalty, Kaczynski pleaded guilty in 1998 and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. His tiny cabin, the epicenter of his war, was dismantled and eventually put on display as a macabre museum artifact, a stark symbol of one man's violent crusade against modern life. When the cell door slammed shut, the hunt was over. Ted Kaczynski was a certified genius who had turned his brilliant mind against the world, a recluse who declared war on technology, and a killer who had eluded justice for nearly 2 decades. But who was Ted Kaczynski really? A madman, a revolutionary, or something far more complicated? He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, but some point to a controversial psychological study he underwent at Harvard in the 1960s as the event that truly broke him. Others argue the darkness was always there. Decades later, looking at our world of smartphones, constant surveillance and artificial intelligence, some of his warnings about technology sound eerily prophetic. He wrote about technology concentrating power in the hands of corporations and governments, about the erosion of privacy, and about our growing dependence on machines. This raises a difficult question. Was he a prophet who saw the dangers of modern life, or simply a killer trying to justify his horrific crimes? For his brother David Kaczynski, the decision to turn Ted in was a heavy burden. He saved lives, but in doing so, he lost his family. He later described it as the most painful choice of his life, a choice between his brother and the rest of the world. Ted Kaczynski died in federal prison in June 2023 by suicide. He was 81. His mind remained sharp until the end, but his war was over. In the end, the Unabomber left behind two legacies, a trail of innocent victims and an uncomfortable question. Do we dismiss him simply as a monster? Or do we dare to ask if the genius killer saw something in our future that we, even now, refuse to see? Thank you so much for watching Shadow Quest. If you found this story compelling, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into history's most complex figures. We'll see you next time.